Hi everybody, it's Mark here. I hope you had a good holiday. There's my cat Violet in the background. I thought I would come on, it's been a while, and talk about a deck and do a comparison. Uh, I recently came across this deck in a very cool bookstore here in Toronto, and I really like it. And the reason I picked it up, I mean, it has some unusual depictions, especially in the minors. It's based in Norse and mythology, as well as Celtic, Irish, British mythology. And I wanted to get it because it's the same artist creator who did Tarot of the Old Path. Another deck I really, really like and have had for some time. I just like her artwork. I like that she's RWS, but she does her minors in her own distinct style and interpretation. Some are very similar to what you would expect in RWS, and some not so much. Anyway, I decided I liked it very much, but my problem was that a lot of the imagery on the cards, I didn't know who the myth was, who the characters were, that type of thing. And I always like to know why certain things were chosen for a card. And I did my own deep dive through Google, trying to match up the card to a myth. And I think I did a pretty good job, but I really wanted the book. So I went out on a limb, because the book is either sold separately or with the deck in a set, all of which is out of print, the deck, the book, and deck set. But I did find it on eBay at a decent price, although expensive, and it came in one of these just before Christmas on the 23rd of December. Remember these big old video cassette clunky things they used to put tarot decks in sometimes? Tarot decks with sizable books. So I did get the book finally. Not a huge book, but goes beyond the little white book. And I was happy to see that the cards were absolutely pristine and perfect and never been used, whereas these are kind of faded and a bit bent. So, I got an improved deck and I got the book. So I was very happy about that. I'm probably gonna move this deck on. I really don't need two of them. But anyway, so what I thought I would do today, because it is the same artist and the same creator as this one, which is still in print, I would just compare the majors and just see the artist's depiction and ideas in both decks. So starting with the Fool, unfortunately, the Fool is probably one of my least favorite of the majors in both decks. So in Tarot of the Old Path, it's very, very busy with babies going into fires and mommies chasing babies and travelers in the background before they even get to the top of the cliff that they're going to jump off of. Kind of a lot going on. The other thing about her style is she doesn't really have borders per se. Yes, there are these sort of borders of such, but they don't really hem in the picture. There's lots of white space, and sometimes you see the images going over the borders, in fact. Whereas with the new deck, there's no borders. It's just a lot of white space going on. But okay, now here we have a Fool, like a real court jester Fool, where a lot of things are going horribly wrong. So both images just seem to be stuck in one kind of situation and very little wiggle room for intuition. By the way, there's the back and there's the back of that one. Okay, I'll move through these fairly quickly, but very similar Magus cards or Magician cards, probably because there was no specific Norse mythology that went into this card. Oh yeah, there's a lot of rune action in the cards, so there's some looking up of those meanings, which can be fun. Here we have High Priestess. I guess the artist really likes a sexualized high priestess. That's not my favorite thing. It feels like a virginal card to me, or should be. This is Freya, which is a Norse god, one of the few female Norse gods. I won't go into detail on who everybody is on all the cards, just so you know that there is, for the most part, some story behind the Tarot of Northern Shadows. Here we have the Empress in both cards. She's very much into the pregnancy, I guess, the artist. Here we have the Emperor. I really like this Emperor because he's protective. He's got children in the background who can play because he is taking care of things. But I really like this one in terms of drama and imagery. It's Odin, and these are his famous ravens and his famous wolves, and I just think that's a really exciting depiction of the card. Here's her High Priest from Old Path. So yeah, I should say the Old Path is very Wiccan, pagan, witchy, whereas the other one, as I said, Norse mythology and Celtic. So there might be some crossovers. Here we really go off the rails with a naked guy in a fairy ring for the High Priest. Similar lovers cards, although I do like this sort of angelic figure in the background, sort of giving its blessing to the couple. Here we have Thor and his hammer and his goat-driven chariot. And I like this, I like both chariots very much. They have the energy that you want. And I really like this one because it's the 4 elements as the horses. Very clever. Here we have strength. This is more as we kind of know strength. A snake is the Hebrew letter that's associated with the card. This is much more, if you've ever seen the Thoth strength or called lust card. This is much more a nod to that. This one, no lion, not much going on, kind of bland. It's a character, but not a very interesting one in the mythology. Here we have a hermit card. I prefer the more clearly elderly hermit than the younger version here. Here's the Wheel of Fortune. Not really much going on in this one. I like all of the action-packed stuff going on in and around the wheel in that one. I believe this is the same figure, Tyr. He has the same T-Y-R. It's also the name of the rune that we see in both cards. There it is there, and there it is there. He's holding it there. Both have kind of a Santa Claus feel with the clothing, so appropriate for this time of year. Here we have the Hanged Man. In this case, it's Odin, contacting or connecting to the runes, and here is just a general jester figure. I don't really like the whole jester thing with the Hangman. It feels like it should be a more serious card. I really love the death card in the Old Path. They call it the Close. There are some title changes you'll see along the way. Forgive me if I don't mention them. This is just beautiful. The babe, the new life, the old life. This is not much for me. We do see the baby coming again out of the death, but that's called a corpse bird, and there's a whole mythology behind that, but just doesn't feel like an integrated image to me. Here we have Temperance and the Guide. I like both, but again, I do like to see kind of an angelic, alienish figure in the background, which there is not one here. But in any case, now we have 2 devil cards that kind of stray from the path. This is Loki, the trickster in mythology of the Norse people. And this one is you would almost think it was the Lover's card, but they're in a forest and they've sort of fallen to asleep and they're kind of trapped in their own whatever's obsessions. So a very subtle, probably the most subtle devil card I've ever seen. And she calls it Temptation. 2 Tower cards. I really like this one, Once You Know the Myth. I don't know about the toad here, but it's dynamic and I don't dislike it. But this is Ragnarok, so this is the end of the entire Norse mythology, and it leads up to the beginning of a new world and new people and that type of thing. So this is the perfect card for the Tower or destruction. Here we have star cards. Again, I've tried to get everything in on these cards with, people, astronomers trying to figure out where the stars actually are, and then our usual naked female figure pouring water. This is the myth of Idun, I think her name is, and she had the golden apples that brought health and immortality. So she works for the card. I like both moon cards. Both have a really eerie kind of vibe to them. There's a whole myth as to why this wolf is eating the moonlight. It comes just before Ragnarok as well, but I really like them. But I think I like this one more. Sun card. This is a Norse god, very positive, joyful god. But I do like this, where we get closer to the Marseille, where there's 2 figures, and there's the signs of the zodiac in the sky, which is thothy. There's not enough going on in that card. Yes, that's like a golden hedgehog, porcupine. Anyway, it's in the mythology. I really like this card, Karma, for the Judgment card. There's just so much going on, but we do see souls dying and rebirthing and the whole cycle of life there. This is after Ragnarok, and there is this one couple left to repopulate the planet, so it makes a lot of sense for the card, but there's not a lot of imagery going on there. And then there's these 2 cards, and of the 2, I really prefer this one. This is pretty much like we would expect from a world card, but this one is literally the entire setup of the Norse mythology, with the hell area, the earth area, the heaven where the gods are area, all the various, this squirrel has a name and it can go between the gods and man. The rainbow has a Bifrost, I think is the name of it. There's a lot going on in the card that actually is showing the mythology and very literally the world that they live in. So those are the majors. I thought I would just give you a little hint of what goes on in both decks, and I like them both, and I won't get rid of either of them. Okay, that's it. Bye for now.